Okay, we're live. We're on a special edition this week of the Adrian podcast with the fantastic cast of a show that's absolutely taken the world by storm, 240 countries, Luxe listing Sydney. We've got the beautiful Delene, the very elusive Simon Cohen, of course, the superb Gavin Rubenstein. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you today?
Hey, good.
Fantastic.
How are you?
Thank you for having us.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. What an amazing opportunity it is for all of us to get together and have a discussion about really a phenomena through the real estate industry and also through other industries and through Sydney. And I've got to say that, I know the initial objective when I first sat down with the creator was initially to showcase Sydney. And let me tell you this, that's absolutely been achieved. Delene, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Sydney is a beautiful city, and we see it all the time, and I think you don't appreciate it as much. But when you see it on the big screen, it's pretty impressive. She's beautiful.
Yeah, Simon, all the boats, the harbour, the parties. I mean, you're the steward of all these type of activities. I mean, you love it, right?
There's no place like Sydney. It is the most spectacular city in the world to live. And I think Luxe Listings shows it off in all its glory.
Yeah, and I know, GR, you and I sort of had initial chat about this, 3 years ago at conception phase, and showing off Sydney was a real passion for everyone involved. And you got to say, man, like it's been awesome, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think myself, Delene, and Simon would all like to say we're the star of the show, but the real star of the show is Sydney. And I think, I think the brief initially from CJ, who's the head of Amazon for this particular show, our first meeting together, his brief to me around the concept here was always aesthetics and showing Sydney in a way it's never been shown before. And I think, just put us right up there with the likes of LA, New York, Miami, because we've got all of those ingredients to be on that level. So it was great to showcase the world what we're about. I think they did a phenomenal job.
Awesome. So modest of you as well, GR, to talk that way. While I've got you, Gav, it'd be remiss not to ask, and I'm going to ask all of you, but remiss not to ask, how has this affected your business, this recent exposure that you've been thrusted into, if you like, or additional exposure?
Now, look, I always played the exposure game, right? And that's no secret to kind of anyone who has any idea with regard to what I do. And it's worked over the course of my 12, 13-year career. I've always been of the belief that, the more people who know your name will know about what you do and how you do it, so long as you do it with integrity and, you're good at what you do, it's only going to lead to more opportunities and better things. So, there's been a lot of that even since launch only a month ago. People I'm working with or pitching on in this area are noticing it. I'm getting comments like, well, geez, we were just watching you on TV. It's almost weird to have you here. The kids were like even excited to have you over. It's hard to quantify exactly how much of a difference it is making, but it sure as hell is making a difference. I mean, I'm also starting to get calls from everywhere across, like from certain suburbs I've not even heard of in the past. And I've had to turn obviously opportunities down by saying, look, I'm not going to be able to kind of add value to you there, but definitely having an impact and all positive, right?
Amazing. With you, Delene, has it polarized people? Have some people said, look, from seeing you on the show, I love you to death, I want you to sell my home, or the opposite, where like, you know what, you came across maybe not for me and maybe it wasn't the right fit. So can you see that polarization, or have you found it mostly people as an attraction piece?
It was interesting because that was my biggest concern. In my game, privacy is key. And having done it nearly, 30 years, you understand that, we are not, as individuals like the Eastern Suburbs, people are very private. They're not made for TV. They don't hunger to be on TV. I know I certainly haven't. And, I was the least interested in it because I thought my business is fine. It's great. I'm a happy person. I've got my family. I'm content. I don't need the extra hassle, and I don't need the time being taken away from my core business. I'm really glad I did it, because I think the whole thing about us growing as individuals is pushing ourselves beyond what we feel comfortable with. And it was definitely outside my comfort zone in all manner of speaking. And I'm really glad I did it, because the feedback from people has been, gosh, I didn't know that about you. You know, like I thought you were just this career girl and you're a family girl. You're a lot softer than I thought you were. But also I think that the getting to know you, where we don't normally let people in on that level, especially after being in the business for so long. It was just a different aspect to me that I was happy to share, and I'm glad I did it.
Amazing, amazing. Simon, I'm going to skip the business part because you don't need any support in terms of boosting your business. All we want to know is, have we found a beautiful Jewish girl so your mother is happy. Your mother is happy. Please.
I was excited about the business question. We're still on the market, you know.
Still on the market.
The hammer hasn't fallen, and we have not accepted a 66W at this stage.
I've heard there's a Dutch auction going on, though, so there's a fierce bidding war happening.
You better place your bid, Delina, or you're going to miss out. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Sadly, Jen's knocked me out of the bidding. She says, you're not allowed to bid. Sorry, doll.
Opportunities like this don't come up often.
Simon,
half the views.
There'd be a lot of happy women listening to this right now. So basically, we're an open agency. What your mum wants is an unconditional 66W under the hammer, done and dusted, right?
She does, but she wants to make sure we've exposed it to the entire marketplace.
As in the entire world. And you don't want to be on the market for too long as well, you know. You don't want to be stagnating on the market. You want to be short and sharp and, you know, hit
this
the right
is good
notes.
advice from some of Sydney's best-selling agents. So
Exactly.
I will take it on board.
I love the real estate metaphors, bringing it back to your relationship, Simon. I mean, you put yourself out there, mate. So, you know, I think it's fair game that we talk about it, right?
Go for it.
So, Simon, while I've got you, in season 2, which is an incredible announcement, right, that we're going to go season 2 and hopefully beyond, are we going to see more of Tammy? Are we going to see more of your team in general? That's something that really people are interested in.
Absolutely. I mean, Tammy's a huge part of our business, and so is my whole team. And I think season 1 was about introducing the 3 of us, but hopefully season 2 will bring, you know, more of our team and more of the people around us who we thrive off and bounce off and learn off and get energy off every single day. So, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, AB, your guess is as good as ours. I think we've only filmed 1 episode or 1.5 episodes of season 2. So we're not exactly sure how it's going to turn out, but I do expect you will see a lot more of them.
Amazing. And with you, Gav, I mean, I've got to say those sales meetings are inspiring. There's a lot of young associates, developing agents that I've spoken to that have really enjoyed that format. Is that something we're going to see more of?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, why not? Like, I love the fact that people watch this and get inspired and motivated. Like my LinkedIn inbox, Instagram inbox, like any platform anyone can get me on, it's just been flooded with, you know, not only people from Australia, but all across the world, you know, US, UK, Mexico, Spain. Hey, mate, I'm in real estate. Just want to let you know, I love the way you run your team and your business. It's inspiring me, and you've led me to do this, or you've led me to do that. So, you know, it's humbling to know that I've contributed, even if only, you know, a small piece for these guys.
Awesome. And Delene, how did you feel with the cameras around you? Was it something that took a bit of getting used to start with, and then it was just something that became habitual?
No, it's not habitual for me. I don't like it at all. I feel challenged by it, but that's why I did this, because I want to feel challenged by it, and I want to learn different things. So no, there's no level of comfort that I have with it at all, but you do get more used to it, and you do get more comfortable with it. As with anything, is that practice makes perfect, right? And so what I'm learning is a different way to understand how this world works. Like I would go in, I was like, guys, I've got to pop out, I've got to be at another appointment. And it's like, no, you actually can't do that. There's about 50 people waiting for you. So you actually appreciate the time that it takes to do this and the professionalism that they have. So it's a pretty cool process, I have to say.
Awesome. Cohen, I'm not going to ask you because you're just made for TV and you just lap it up. But Gavin,
this face was made for TV. What can I tell you?
Gav, what about you, mate? Getting used to, because there was a few obviously personal shots as well of you and Jared, running on the beach and obviously having some interesting conversations with team members and how did it feel just having that environment? Obviously, it's a bit it's unusual and you've got to get used to it. What was the process like for you?
Pretty natural, man. Pretty natural. Not something that I found uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you got to get shots, you got to get angles, and so I guess the only frustrating part about it was the repetitive side of it. Whenever I've built or shot content in the past to put out on social platforms, it's one take, hit it. I got this amount of time to do it. Let's bang it out. Let's move on to the next thing. So this is a little bit more labored, right? Because they've got to get the angles, they've got to get the drone, they've got to get the right, the left, the over the shoulder shot. It's a bit more of a frustrating process, but seemed and came supernatural to me.
Awesome. Hey, Simon, what I will ask you is certainly around the fact that your business is obviously quite ubiquitous. You obviously got growth with commercial and Queensland, and it's all happening for you, which is really, really exciting. I know that the one point of difference with this show, when I first sat down with the creators, I said to them, guys, you've got to make every deal an actual genuine, legitimate deal, right? And that's our point of difference in this show. Can you just reiterate the importance of that, especially from the buying perspective, that these properties are real, the prices are real, the transactions are real?
Absolutely. And, the funny thing is none of us are actors. I mean, we are acting ourselves in a reality TV show, but we're acting out what we do every single day. And the deals that we do, the clients that we have, they're all legitimate. They're all real. As a matter of fact, I think the show shows about 1% of the 100% of deals and action that happens all day, every day. Unfortunately, they can't show more, but every house we buy, every house we look at, they are real, they are legitimate. Our clients are legitimate. So I think the beautiful thing about this show, as opposed to a lot of others, and the only reason, DG and I did it was because it's a legitimate show. It's a legitimate platform. And people are getting, even if it's a tip of the iceberg, a look at what we do and the real sort of deals and ways they happen behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I know, Gav, when we first spoke about it, that was something that was really important to you to make sure that it was genuine, legitimate transactions that were occurring. And I know we had that conversation early on. Obviously, that's something that you've been satisfied with?
Yeah, completely. I mean, authentic, on brand, what you see is what you get has always been kind of part of my ethos. Same sort of situation as Simon. When we're talking about, negotiations or buying a property or selling a property, it's not a function of acting because you're doing this every day, all day. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, awesome. And Delene, when you actually watched yourself back on TV with your beautiful children, what was the reaction from family members, even from yourself? Was it like, wow, that's almost like a separate character, or could you relate to that person? And what was your kids saying?
So I've watched it once at the pre-screenings with my team. I haven't watched it again because I just don't like seeing myself on the screen. I did show the episode with the kids to them, and they were super excited to see themselves on TV. I showed the episode to my mum and dad, and they were really excited to see themselves on TV. I'm just really proud of it. I think it's a really good sneak peek into our lives. There's a lot of stuff that's not glamorous. There's a lot of stuff that's really hard. And, I think that it shows the roller coaster of our lives as well. There's the talk about the Bellevue Hill house that we didn't have anybody through. And that's real stuff. It happens every day. You've got to show the wins and the losses as well, because the losses are how you learn. And you can't just be like, yeah, I'm a hero, every single day is a win, because sometimes you learn the most by falling down. And how you deal with that. It's all part of our training. It's all part of our journey. And there's not one of us that have gotten to the top of our individual careers without falling down a couple of times, and falling down pretty hard. And, you know, it's not how you fall down, it's how you pick yourself up that counts. And I think the show also shows part of that journey as well. It's not, and I think I really like this about it, it's not drama filled. It's not so ego filled. It's more, this is life of a real estate agent, and this is what we get to showcase, and we're really very lucky to do what we get to do every single day. So let's be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, and that's kind of what my part of it is. You know, and I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. I'm really glad you touched on that, because Gavin, obviously, you know, you had a past in auction, and I'm so glad that actually that was showcased, to be honest, because when I first sat down with the creators, I was like, guys, it can't be all blue sky, because real estate ain't blue sky, right? It's a roller coaster ride, as Delene talked about. So that was very authentic to show that, Gavin. And how did you feel about actually portraying that part of our business, which is challenging, which is a lot of heavy lifting, and it's something that maybe not go your way to start with, but you can solve it and correct it at a later stage?
Yeah, I mean, look, just another day in the office, AB, you know how it goes. Like, you know, how many auctions do you pass in on a month? You know, all of us, if we're heavily active in and out there, there's going to be, you know, a lot of that going on. So, I mean, obviously it would have been great to be portrayed as, you know, the guy who sold everything every time at the right time. But, you know, it just shows that side that sometimes you've got to take a bit of a different road to get to the same destination. You know, that particular property did pass in at auction. That particular property did sell after, you know, passed in at 9.3, traded later for 9.6. So, you know, we went north on price. Vendor got close to what he wanted, and we move on to the next.
Love it. Love it. Simon, would you say that the buyer's advocate or the buyer's agent industry has now an increased in awareness around what your industry does, or even that it actually exists?
You know, the funny thing about this is anyone who used a buyer's agent before, you know, typically was coming through our doors. But what this show has done, and it's what I hoped it would do the most, and one of the reasons I did it, is showcase to the world, and especially the country, what we do, because we are a relatively new, relatively unknown service. And so this show has really showcased what a buyer's agent role does, and I hope in a great light. I mean, you know, a lot of the messages I've received is, you know, how amazing it is to see what we do and how we add value and that sort of stuff. And I've been very pleased with how our role has shown what we do and what we deliver. And like Gavin Delene, you know, it does show wins, but we lose deals all the time. And it's just par for the course. You know, you can't be at the top of your game winning everything. It definitely comes with a couple of punches here and there.
Absolutely. And as we start to wrap up, Delene, you know, you mentioned you had that reluctancy. I still remember making that first call to you and saying, hey, we've got this idea. What do you think? And there was some reluctancy. I mean, what do you think? Because you were just afraid of being stereotyped or afraid of being sort of archetyped into that typical real estate agency, and that was sort of one of your concerns? Or was it other shows in other countries that maybe haven't done it consistent to what your branding might be, for example?
Yeah, like I've been very open with you about my concerns, is that I didn't want it to be a wanky real estate show, and I didn't want to have any part of that, because that's not what attracts me. And I've never wanted to have a part of that. I shy away from that, and I shy away from drama. And I thought those, you know, most reality shows have those elements in it, and I didn't want to have a part of that. I got assurance from the producers that it would be an aspirational show, And that obviously you'd have moments of whatever they need to do to make the show watchable, and that's TV land. But in my real life, I want to have my authentic living and my contentment with what I do, and I'm happy with my life. So I didn't think the show would enhance it. I thought it would detract from it. And I was glad to be proven wrong, actually. It hasn't enhanced it, but certainly hasn't detracted from it. It's just a different part of it. And I'm really happy to have learned that as well. But also, more importantly, to have shown that, because as women in this business, we do get pigeonholed a lot. I find it every day, you know, and I think that we can do the job just as well as boys, if not better. And, you know, rather than saying, oh, you know, she's a working mum, she only has this time, it's like we work hard. We have the same skill sets. We just happen to have slightly different body parts, but we've got equal brains. And I think it's important for us to be, and not having the feminist conversation, but having an equal conversation. Because when I deal with Gav, Simon, we deal as professionals, not as girls and boys, males and females. We deal as professionals. And that's why all the panels that I'm asked to go on, it needs to be a gender mixed panel, not a female only panel, because I compete with guys. I don't compete with girls so much, you know. And so I think that in this day and age, we're still having that conversation, where I think it's crazy, but I will continue to have the conversation because it's an important one.
Yeah. Thank you on behalf of all the women in real estate, Delene, that you have provided. No, seriously, you've provided a roadmap, and you've provided, you know, a journey that young people in the industry, especially women, can actually take themselves on and actually be seen as someone who's professional with high integrity.
Thank you.
Cohen, with you, zero reluctancy. I remember calling you like, dude, where do I sign? Where do I sign?
I was probably the most reluctant.
Oh, come on.
Shit. What?
Come on.
I think,
mate, I could. You were like, mate, I think you turned up at well, I think the initial meeting was at your office in Woolloomooloo.
To be honest, but let's say we did. I think that the thing the three of us have in common is that we all have really good businesses, and businesses we built really hard for. And something the three of us value the most is our reputations. And putting yourself on a TV show with 200 million plus viewers can be a very daunting, nerve-wracking thing. And, you know, I don't think any one of us wanted to be famous. We much prefer, you know, everyone makes the joke, like celebrity life or whatever, but real estate, you make much more money, right? And so you don't want to risk what you've worked so hard for in real estate just to be on TV. And we were all incredibly reluctant. We fought very hard.
I don't think Gavin was so reluctant.
Thanks, Delene.
Look, Now, look, I mean,
but I wasn't. Look, I wasn't initially for the right opportunity. I wasn't reluctant. You know, I was
it's true.
It's true. Like this. You know, I had my brother who is an absolute freaking hawk.
Previous opportunities. Yeah, there were previous opportunities. Yeah.
And he made sure stipulations in there covered us and our reputations. Correct. I know he looked out on behalf of Sai, and I think you know Dee followed suit on that. I don't know if she did completely, but you know, I'm always comfortable with him looking over the fine print that, you know, things aren't going to go bad, they're going to go good. Amazon was involved, so I was ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cohen, you're just easy to G up, so mate. So that's why I love having a crack.
I'm just easy to deal with. That's all.
Simon, you actually are very, very easy to deal with. You're one of my favorite buyers agents because you're straight down the line and no bullshit, and you don't waste time. And that is very hard to find in this business where people do a lot of talk and no action. So Simon is all action, girls.
Absolutely, he loves it.
Experience.
He loves it. He loves it. But jokes aside, no, you're right. Like when we had that initial meeting down at Woolloomooloo when your office was there was some assurances, right? There was some, you're going to have editing rights. It's not going to be, you know, what Delene said, you know, sort of an ego show and all that. So yeah, there was reluctancy across the board, but there were certain assurances, and you're linking arms and partnering with the right people as well. That's a massive difference, Gav, right? That was a big part of it for you.
That was the piece. I mean, initially I was kind of, you know, super lukewarm on the idea of Australian television. No offense to anyone in Australian television, but like, you know, I was
about to get flooded.
I was more so looking like platform, global scale, you know, like, and having a look at, my objective is always how are we going to improve business? How are we going to help the people around us? How are we going to increase, growth? Because, I'm in an aggressive or trying to be an aggressive build phase. And you have a look at the likes of some of these agents who have done, similar shows, not the same, but similar sort of shows across the globe through the likes of either Arena and or Netflix, and what it's done for their business. And that's through an international platform. You're not going to get that through a local one. So, we're super, super motivated to get to work with Amazon. Who
Awesome.
wouldn't have been?
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up, guys. But look, I'm here to tell the audience that's listening and viewing that I've been very fortunate enough to work very closely with 3 of these superstars at a coaching and a friendship level. And let me tell you, they are the real deal. What you see on the show is exactly what you get in person and in their professional lives. These people are humble, they're hardworking, they're committed to excellence for their clients. And so on behalf of the industry, I'd like to thank the 3 of you for making an accurate representation of what our real estate industry is really about, including the highs and the lows. So Gav, as we finish up, mate, anything that you want to just say on that particular point?
Oh, mate, I appreciate the kind words. It's really nice to hear that. I mean, obviously, I think we've all seen some of the comments from some contemporaries who are a little bit salty, who initially wanted to be in the show, who kind of didn't get the opportunity. So I saw that as loser mentality. So it's nice to hear, the winners out there be positive, and hopefully season 2 will be a hell of a lot better than season 1, and people get value from it. Thanks for having us.
No, you're right about those salty comments. I originally made those calls to some of those agents, and it's very different to what you read on in the print. So we'll deal with that another time. Simon, yourself, mate, you anything else to leave the audience with about what's going to happen in season 2? Can you give us any sneak peek at all?
Mate, honestly, I think hopefully it'll just showcase more of what we do and the deals we're involved in. And I think the thrill of being in this industry. I think the reality is, and the one thing I wake up every day grateful for, is that I found my passion, and it is in an industry that is so rewarding on so many levels. And I think you touched on a point about, the 3 of us delivering for our clients, and it's something we all 3 of us thrive on. We spend so much time together filming, and we all hear each other negotiating and fighting for our clients. And you know what? Anyone who's in this industry, as much as a lot of people forget about, think it's being seen in a coffee shop or driving a fancy car or getting a new Rolex, never to lose perspective or take for granted how lucky you are to work in this game, because I think there is so many rewarding facets of it where you don't have to spend 7 or 10 years studying. We are all incredibly lucky. And I know I consider myself very grateful to have found this industry and to have found this game and to work with the people I work with. So I think anyone out there who's listening to it, if you do love what you're doing and you are lucky enough to have found this, stick with it, because there's no game like it, in my opinion.
Awesome, Simon. And Deline, what would you like to say to your fans and your listeners to finish off the podcast with?
I think that we, as the guys have said it perfectly, actually. I think we are really, really lucky to be able to do what we do. I don't take it for granted. Remember that your clients are number one, that the people that make you, that the people can break you as well. And there's nothing wrong with being a little bit humble. There's everything wrong with not providing the service that you need to provide. So be straight, be authentic, work hard. There's no shortcuts, and keep on fighting the good fight. But play fair, be nice, and be kind to each other. You're competitors, you're not enemies. And I think that's part of the salty comments we were talking about before. It's like, when you lose gracefully. When you win gracefully as well. There's lessons in life to learn with all of this, and just, try to be the best version of yourselves every day, because good work will follow you.
Amazing. Gavin, Deline, Simon, I can't thank you enough. I'm so delighted that the show's been a huge success. I earmarked you guys for the perfect cast years ago, and I'm so glad that the creators and the producers and the collaborators agreed on that. And I got to tell you, as I said, I work with you guys on a coaching business and also as friends. And thank you for being an accurate representation of yourselves and the industry. And on behalf of the industry and all the fans of Luxe Listings, thank you so much. And I can't wait for season 2, like everyone else. And we'll certainly look to do another episode once season 2 launches as well on the Adrian Bo podcast. So thanks again, guys.
God bless you,
Thank
AB.
Thank
You're
you.
a
Absolute pleasure, guys. Love you lots, okay?
All the best, brother. Be well. Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, mate.